we would like to ask you today a few questions about how Europe, and especially Germany, can actually improve and contribute to the economic development, also safety and welfare in South Africa. Could you give us some general thoughts about this overall topic?
Well, it's a very important topic. Germany is a big trading and economic partner with South Africa. There are large German companies that are invested in South Africa in different industries, the automobile obviously being the most visible, but the chemicals, pharmaceuticals, and so on. So Germany is a very important economic partner with South Africa. I think it's very important for us as South Africans to explain to the German people first what are our problems. We have to be honest about what our problems is, because if we are not honest about our problems, then it's very difficult to cooperate properly. Our problems have a very long history, over 350 years of European colonialism in South Africa. But the single most important achievement of Dutch, but especially of British colonialism in South Africa, it destroyed the technical skills of the African people. So when I look at a country like Germany, the single most important thing that Germany can help us with is to rebuild the technical skills of the indigenous people of South Africa. South Africa used to have, before colonialism, used to have a very large metallurgy industry. We were an Iron Age community. We processed iron from the raw stones. There isn't a single person today, African, who can do that. We lost all our metallurgy skills, all our technical skills. Our clothing before colonialism were made from animal skin. But we had the technology to convert the animal skin to become so soft that it could not harm the human skin. It was comfortable on the human skin. Today, there is no one amongst the Africans who know that technology. Now, obviously, we would not use the technology of the past. So for me, the single most important contribution that we need to work with Germany is the issue of the technical skills of the African and the colored and the Indian populations of South Africa. How do we rebuild the technical skills of this population, which it lost over 200 or 300 years of Dutch and British colonialism? Well, Germany has a very good sympathetic perception in South Africa. People love German cars in particular. I have one myself. But you have other companies, other products. Hugo Boss, for example, is a very popular brand from Germany in South Africa. And then there are other, if you go deeper now into the industrial companies, you have German industrial companies that are working with our raw material, our natural resources, to develop them further downstream processing. I know, for example, of a company that works with chrome and makes lots of products in South Africa, which require a great deal of scientific knowledge to make products from chrome. And this company has developed products out of the raw material of chrome ore, but a lot of downstream chemicals and so on. So the perception of Germany in South Africa is very positive, and German companies play an important role in our economy, in transport, as I say, in chemicals and in other sectors, in optics, for example. So there is a positive disposition, let me say, towards Germany in South Africa.
Do you think that could be even improved? And if yes, how? What would your
Well, I have to go back to my comment about technical skills. The German investment obviously has to carry on. It's a normal investment environment. And the German companies do train South Africans in the specialized skills of their processes. However, we still have to work together to address the technical skills of the South African population. We have very low technical skills in South Africa, whether at the level of artisan, at the level of engineer, at the level of technician, at the level of manager, and the level of entrepreneurship. This is what we really should work with Germany with, and with the non-governmental organizations, with the trade unions, to address all these issues with our chambers of commerce, our chambers of business. This is what we need to work more and more with Germany on.
That's very interesting. And I told you before that Germany has this traditionally large and strong Mittelstand, medium-sized companies. Would you see there like any practical project to collaborate together with other medium-sized companies in South Africa to transfer those skills and to enhance it?
Well, you know, South Africa and Southern Africa, we have the largest deposits of metals. Well, from copper to gold to platinum to, you name it, coal. So we have huge deposit of metals, but we don't have the skills that the German Mittelstands have to develop the engineering products. So this is one of the, this is a very important part of what we have to learn in South Africa. Let me give you an example. BMW imports leather interiors for its cars that are made in Munich and also, of course, made in South Africa. But they helped to develop this particular industry of making leather upholstery for the auto industry. So, but one of the largest producers of the leather in South Africa today for the vehicles is an American company. Whereas actually, if we followed the German thinking, it should be a number of small companies that produce these seats, which employ more people than is the case. So there's huge opportunities in terms of us looking at the German model of small, medium-sized manufacturing companies. But you can't have a Mittelstand without the skills. That's one. Without the financial skills, without the management skills, without the engineering skills. So this is why, to me, this is very central in our relationship, in developing our relationship with Germany, is those skills.
I understand. Mr. Mbeki, what do you think is the biggest political challenge that South Africa is facing at the moment?
Well, the biggest challenge South Africa is facing politically, if I can put it that way, is single-party dominance. We do not have competition in our political system. And this is a huge problem for South Africa. It has many, many implications. And one of the most important implications of single-party dominance is the impunity by the ruling party and corruption that goes with it. Now, Germany had experience of this in East Germany, in the old German Democratic Republic, where you had no political competition. And one of the consequences of that lack of political competition was lack of development of the society generally. There is no driver of innovation in the political field, but there's no driver of innovation also in the economic field. So the question of lack of competitive political environment is a huge problem for South Africa, because it generates the corruption. Every time there is a corruption perception index issued by the Berlin-based Transparency International, it shows our corruption is growing and growing in South Africa. So politically, that's our single biggest problem.
How could Germany and Europe be a positive contribution there?
Well, enormously. You see we share a certain background with Germany. Germany, for many years, lived under a dictatorship, going back into its history. We lived under a dictatorship also. So the experience of how Germany moved out of a dictatorship into a normal democratic society is of very important significance in South Africa. So this is something that we can learn, certainly we can learn from Germany.
Thank you. And how important do you think is Germany and Europe as a trading partner for South Africa? And how do you see this economic relationship in the future?
Well, Germany, Europe, England, United States, Japan are very important trading partners for South Africa because they buy high quality manufactured goods from South Africa. The other BRIC countries don't buy high quality. China, for example, they do not buy manufactured goods from South Africa. They buy raw materials from South Africa. And raw materials, as you know, are not a good route for the development of and the diversification of your economy. It's the manufacturing that leads to diversification of, first, of the skills of the people, of the sophistication of the management, and of the skills of the population. So Europe absorbs a huge amount of manufactured goods. I mean, we export to Europe cars made by BMW in South Africa. We export them to England, for example, and to the United States. Now, the value of that is that it helps to create a sophisticated economy. It helps to create a sophisticated population and a highly skilled population that can cope and look after itself in the globalization process. So that is the importance of our economic relations with Germany and with Europe.
You know, there's now some fears in Europe and in Germany, or maybe not fears, but it's basically, we see that South Africa is growing more sympathetic with China and relations are getting strengthened. How do you think can Europe and Germany contribute to an even better economic relationship between South Africa and Europe?
Well, the relationship with China, certainly the economic relationship, China buys our raw materials. But Germany is a big investor in South Africa, and it also buys our manufactured goods. So there is no comparison between the relationship, economic relationship between South Africa and China, and between South Africa and Germany and Europe. So to me, the issue of how to strengthen these ties, it brings me back to the issue of the technical education of the population, that we have to work on this issue jointly, the South Africans and the Germans, and not to worry too much about the Chinese. I don't think the Chinese, first, the Chinese are not traditional players in the South African economy. They are newcomers to the South African economy. Yes, they are making an influence, but still in the raw materials section. In the manufacturing, and especially the sophisticated and advanced manufacturing sector, it remains countries like Germany with the car industry. It remains countries like the United States, the EU with Airbus, components for Airbus, and so on and so forth. So that is where these are very strong links. Yes, politically, the current regime of the ANC, the current leadership of the ANC, in my view, is very confused about our foreign policy. So they don't understand the links between the economy and diplomacy and all those issues. But this is a passing phase in our relations. I don't think I would be too worried about it.
You mentioned that Europe and Germany is especially trade partner in manufactured goods. Do you think there is any way how Europe and Germany especially could contribute to a more sustainable mining and processing of resources like metals, coal, platinum here in South Africa, that more people in South Africa make use or gain from this natural wealth that you find here in South Africa?
Well, really the best way, we have had mining industry in this country, which was dominated by the British since the middle of the 19th century. And it has been a very painful experience for the great majority of the people, and it is still a very painful experience. Today you saw Marikana, where the police were killing the mine workers. So mining in South Africa has been an enormous pain for the great majority of the African people. Moving forward, we have to develop an engineering sector in South Africa. That is the only way really that we can benefit. We have to start making, for example, components which go into the German industries, into the German companies, the car industry and the others. So that is the only way. So we need to help develop small and medium-sized engineering companies, but these require a lot of skill, they require a lot of training, and of course they require a lot of capital. South Africa is losing a lot of capital because of the uncertainty in our political environment. So we don't have capital to invest in the small scale and the medium-sized industries. This is something that the development banks from Germany, for example, should study and start to look at how to work with the smaller industries that are not listed in the stock exchange, because I think at the moment they tend to invest with the bigger industries, but we need to invest with smaller industries which then get built up until they are more sustainable.
Fantastic. Mr. Mbeki, you know, this video will be, or these statements will be shown at the party assembly of the CDU, and there's a big chance that the Chancellor also will be there. Is there anything you'd like to add as a statement, or, sorry? Okay, but this holds it. Is there anything you'd like to add, or you would like to mention that I, for instance, forgot to ask you, but what would be really important to say?
Well, the important thing, of course, especially in terms of the German Chancellor, is that we have a common experience. We lived under the dictatorship of apartheid. She lived under the dictatorship of the Communist Party in East Germany. So we have a very long and a very important common experience. So it is important for us, and I suppose also for Germany, to look at how the transition from a dictatorship happens, for us to learn how it happened in Germany, and I suppose for the German people to look at how the transition happens and is happening in South Africa.